A strategy even more powerful than no contact. They won't see it coming. Stoic wisdom. What if I told you there's a strategy so powerful, so psychologically transformative, that it makes no contact seem weak in comparison? Because no contact still leaves room for hope. It keeps you waiting, watching, wondering if they'll ever return. But this strategy, it shifts the entire game. It doesn't just make them miss you, it makes them regret ever walking away. Not because you vanished, but because you became someone so unshakable, so untouchable, that they have no choice but to question everything. This isn't about playing games. It's not about sitting by your phone, trapped in the prison of what if. This is about mastery, about transforming yourself so completely that by the time they realize what they lost, you won't even care anymore. This is the story of a man who was shattered by heartbreak, just like you. A man who thought distance was enough until he discovered something far more powerful. And by the end of this video, you'll have a weapon so effective that they won't just miss you, they'll wish they had never let you go. If you're ready to stop suffering and start thriving, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. And comment below, "I control my destiny." Now let's begin. Number 1. The power of indifference. Beyond no contact. At first, he thought the answer was simple. Just go silent. No contact, no calls, no texts, no chasing. He believed that if he stayed away long enough, she would start to miss him, that the void would be enough for her to realize what she lost. But as the days turned into weeks and the silence stretched on, he came to a brutal truth. No contact alone was not enough, because beneath it all, he was still waiting, still hoping, still letting her live rent-free in his mind. The harsh reality hit him hard. As long as he still cared, he was still weak. His emotional attachment made him vulnerable. That's when he made the decision. No more waiting, no more hoping, no more pretending. He would do something far stronger than no contact. Something that would shake her to her core. Indifference. Not just ignoring her, but completely erasing her from his life, removing her thoughts, her presence, and even her regrets from his mind. This was more than cutting contact. It was wiping her off his mental map. No checking her social media, no wondering who she was with, no keeping the door open just in case she might want to return. She was no longer a factor. Because here's the truth. No contact is silence, but indifference is power. Silence still carries emotional charge. It signals that you care. But indifference, it's what makes people panic. It's what forces them to confront the truth they don't want to face. When someone who once adored you now sees you as just another stranger, when they realize you could walk past them in the street without so much as a second thought, that's when they feel the weight of their own loss. That's when the regret starts to set in. At first, she didn't notice. She assumed he was just playing the waiting game, like every other guy, silently suffering, hoping for her return. But soon, something changed. His absence wasn't just a phase. It was permanent. His energy was different. He wasn't avoiding her. He had outgrown her. And that's when the shift happened. She checked his social media, expecting to see the broken man she left behind. But what she found was a man who had transformed. He wasn't sulking or posting cryptic messages. He wasn't trying to win her back. He was living, thriving, confident, stronger. And worst of all, she realized, she was no longer part of his story. That's when the panic set in. Why wasn't he broken? Why wasn't he chasing her? Had she made a mistake? She had always assumed he would be there for her to return to whenever she decided to come back. But now she wasn't so sure. Indifference is more powerful than silence. It is more powerful than absence. It makes people question their own worth. It forces them to wonder why you don't care anymore. You don't crave what you can ignore. You crave what you can't control. Remember this: a man is not good because he is always silent, but because he has learned to control his own passions. Epictetus. Control your emotions, and you control your destiny. Indifference, not anger or sadness, is what gives you the power to win. And as you walk this path of wisdom, understand this: silence may be an absence, but indifference is strength, and it is what makes you unbreakable. Comment below: I control my mind. I control my destiny. Number 2. The truth about no contact. Why it's not enough. The concept of no contact is widely praised as the ultimate strategy when you've been dumped, ghosted, or replaced. It seems like the perfect approach, a battle of silence where you cut off communication, disappear from her life, and wait for the inevitable moment she regrets her decision. You envision the day she sees you're no longer there, the sudden panic as she realizes what she's lost. You imagine her scrolling through your social media, reminiscing about the good times, and finally feeling the void of your absence just as deeply as you do. The reality, however, is often far different. While no contact can work in some cases, it's not the foolproof solution most men think it is. The critical element that's missing in the majority of no-contact strategies is emotional detachment. Too many men use no contact as just a tactic to get her back, not as a means of actual healing. They don't take the time to truly move on. They simply wait, hoping for a text, a call, or that magical moment when she recognizes her mistake. But this waiting is rooted in weakness. As long as you're waiting for her return, she still controls the situation. This is where the Stoic principle of self-mastery becomes crucial. As Marcus Aurelius said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. No matter how much you try to hide your emotions, women have an uncanny ability to sense when a man is still emotionally tied to them. They can tell when you're just pretending to have moved on, when you're holding on to hope that they'll come back. The silence doesn't fool them, because they can feel the vulnerability in your waiting. If you're truly not over her, she knows it. And that's when she doesn't miss you. She simply moves on for good. In some cases, she might reach out to test the waters, but when she finds that you still care, still respond, still hang on, it only strengthens her decision to walk away. That brief moment of contact can trick you into thinking you have another chance. And in your eagerness, you make the fatal mistake of showing your cards. You engage too quickly, too eagerly, proving that you were never truly detached. And in that moment, she confirms what she already knew. She was right to leave. This is why no contact on its own isn't enough. It's not about waiting for her to realize her mistake. It's about you realizing your worth and fully embracing the process of moving on. True healing requires you to detach emotionally, not just physically. As Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher, wisely said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Focus on your own growth. Embrace the Stoic rules of discipline, and understand that in order to gain control over your life, you must first regain control over your emotions. Number 3. The fall. The fall. A man, once filled with the warmth of love, finds himself shattered by its absence. One moment, she was everything, sharing late-night talks, inside jokes, and moments that seemed to bind their hearts in an unbreakable bond. Then, without warning, she was gone. No closure, no explanation, just a cold, indifferent goodbye that struck him to the core. In that instant, his world collapsed. He stared at his phone, rereading her last message over and over, desperately hoping the words would reveal some hidden meaning. But it never did. It never will. The next days were endless agony. Every corner of the house felt empty, every song a haunting reminder of what was lost. The bed was too vast without her presence. His phone felt eerily quiet. Yet, despite the silence, the echoes of her laughter lingered in his mind, and he could still recall the way she looked at him with eyes that once seemed to say, "You are my everything." But now it was as though he was invisible to her, nothing more than a fleeting chapter in her life. And that's what stung the most. How easily she moved on, how swiftly she erased him from her mind, as if he were just another name she'd forget in time. Meanwhile, he couldn't seem to let go. His mind was torn, caught between anger and sorrow, between the desire to hate her and the aching hope that she might come back. He replayed every conversation, analyzed every moment, seeking answers he'd never find. Had he given too much? Was he too available? Not enough. The questions swirled around him, stealing his peace and his sleep. That's when the advice started. "Go no contact," they said. "Disappear. Let her miss you." So he did. He deleted her number, avoided her social media, and stopped reaching out. Every time his hand hovered over his phone, ready to send a message, he resisted. He convinced himself this was strength, that cutting her off would make her realize what she lost. But deep down, he was still imprisoned by his feelings. No matter how much he tried to detach, he couldn't stop thinking about her. He checked his phone constantly, hoping for a message that would never come. He pored over old photos, wondering if she had ever truly cared. He told himself he was moving on, but in truth, he was only waiting for her to wake up one day and realize her mistake. But that moment never came. And that's when the truth hit him. No contact wasn't the cure. It was merely a temporary fix. As long as his happiness was tied to her return, as long as he needed her approval to feel complete again, he was still weak. And weakness, as any Stoic would say, is not admirable. "Freedom is the only true condition of the soul," said Seneca, reminding us that our happiness cannot depend on external circumstances or the actions of others. It was this realization that shifted everything. His strength wasn't in waiting for her to change her mind. It was in finding his peace within himself. True power, as the Stoics teach, comes from mastering one's own emotions and not allowing external forces to dictate our inner state. The moment he embraced this truth was when his true strength began to show. He no longer needed her validation, because he had already begun to build an iron mind. He stopped seeing himself as broken, and instead saw himself as whole, strong, independent, and at peace. Take a moment to reflect on this, and remember, life's greatest strength comes from mastering your emotions and detaching from the need for others to complete you. As Epictetus wisely said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." If you're ready to take control, share your thoughts below and let me know how you've worked on mastering your emotions. Like this video, subscribe and comment, "I master my emotions," to start your journey towards strength and resilience. Number 4. The dark side of attraction, why they always come back. She thought she had won when she walked away. She assumed he'd crumble, that he'd drown in regret, that he'd be there waiting for the day she got bored and decided to revisit the past. It's what most men do. They beg, they plead, They try to prove their worth, as if love is something that can be negotiated. But he did something different. He disappeared, not just from her life, but from her mind. At first, she didn't notice. She was too busy enjoying her newfound freedom, chasing new experiences, maybe even entertaining other men. In her mind, he was still there, tucked away in the background, silently suffering. But as time passed, something began to feel off. Where was he? Why wasn't he watching her stories? Why wasn't he waiting like every other man? And that's when the panic set in. See, human nature is predictable. People don't value what they can have. They value what they fear losing forever. And when she saw that he wasn't just ignoring her, he had moved on completely, it triggered something deep inside her. Doubt, uncertainty, curiosity. The same man who once adored her, who would have done anything for her, had now become a mystery. And nothing is more attractive than a man who is untouchable. This is the dark side of attraction, the painful, brutal truth about human psychology. People are drawn to what they cannot control. They crave what is scarce. And the moment you remove yourself, truly remove yourself from their world, you create a void that they can't ignore. That's why they always come back. Not because they miss you, not because they suddenly realize your worth, but because they hate the idea that you don't need them anymore. Number 5. The Stoic transformation, turning pain into power. The old version of him would have chased. He would have clung to every breadcrumb of attention, overanalyzing every message, every glance, every moment of silence, desperate to find some hidden meaning, some flicker of hope. But that man is gone. This time he is not just walking away. He is undergoing a transformation, not to prove anything to her, not to impress anyone, but for himself. Pain, for most men, is a prison, a relentless loop of regret, self-doubt, and suffering. But for those who understand practical Stoicism, pain is not a burden. It is fuel, a tool, a weapon to forge an unbreakable mind. As Marcus Aurelius once said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Weak men let pain define them. Strong men use it to evolve, and that is exactly what he did. Instead of running from the pain, he faced it, he embraced it. He sat in the discomfort, allowing it to refine him rather than destroy him. Each moment of heartbreak became a lesson. Every ounce of suffering became motivation. He stopped replaying the past and started directing his energy toward one mission: becoming unshakable. He trained his mind first. He learned the core Stoic principles: control what is within his power, detach from what is not, and accept reality without resistance. Where once he was ruled by emotions, now he mastered them. He no longer reacted impulsively. He became calm, measured, untouchable. As Seneca wisely stated, difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body. And so he turned his body into a weapon as well. The energy once wasted on longing, regret, and nostalgia was now channeled into self-discipline. The gym became his proving ground. Every rep, every set, every drop of sweat was a silent vow to himself. "I will never be weak again." And as his body strengthened, so did his presence. His posture changed. His aura shifted. He no longer needed validation, attention, or approval. And because he needed nothing, he began to attract everything. The same people who once ignored him now took notice. The same woman who believed he was replaceable now watched from a distance, realizing too late what she had lost. But the truth: he did not do it for her. He did not do it for them. He did it because he refused to be anything less than his highest self. This is the essence of Stoic rules for transformation. not seeking revenge, not chasing validation, but becoming so undeniably valuable that the past becomes irrelevant. He did not just move on, he evolved beyond recognition. And by the time they realized his worth, he was already gone, too far ahead to ever look back. Because in the end, the ultimate victory is not making them regret losing you. The ultimate victory is becoming someone they could never have again. Like this video, subscribe and comment below. Pain makes me stronger. Number 6. The silent domination, winning without words. The weak man craves validation. He shouts into the void, desperate for an echo. He posts, he flaunts, he hopes she notices. But the man forged by Stoicism, by the paths of wisdom, by discipline, he moves in silence. No words, no explanations, just action. Epictetus once said, "If you wish to be in control of your soul, give up worrying about what others say about you." This is the essence of silent domination. The real power lies not in proving, but in becoming. While others waste energy seeking attention, he builds. He sharpens his mind. He strengthens his body. He multiplies his wealth. He ascends beyond reach. He does not block her. He does not delete old memories in a fit of emotion. He does not play petty games. He simply withdraws his energy. And that absence, that void, it haunts her, not because he is gone, but because it feels like he was never there. No closure, no last words, just a clean, impenetrable silence. At first, she dismisses it. He's pretending, he's playing a game, but as time stretches, as the silence deepens, doubt creeps in. Why isn't he watching her stories? Why doesn't he care? Did she misjudge him? She expected anger, resentment, a desperate chase. But what she gets is nothing. Indifference, absence, and that is where the true mind game begins. Because when someone who once gave you their heart suddenly acts as if you never existed, it forces reflection. She begins remembering the details she once overlooked, how he treated her, how he was always there, how she never truly appreciated his presence. Now he is a ghost she cannot touch, a memory that lingers but never responds. Her curiosity grows. She scrolls through his social media. She casually brings up his name. And what does she find? Not a broken man, but a man reborn. He looks better. He radiates confidence. He is not just surviving. He is thriving. And worst of all, he is not looking back. And then it hits her. While she entertained distractions, he was evolving into the man she always wanted, but can never have. Regret is a slow poison, and now it is hers to drink. This is why winning without words is the most devastating victory. It is not about making her see what she lost. It is about becoming so powerful, so unshakable, that her opinion no longer matters. Because true success doesn't need validation. It speaks through presence, through action, through undeniable results. The ultimate power move is not proving them wrong. It is making them realize they were never even a factor in your success. You were always the prize. And now she finally understands it. Comment below. I control my mind. I control my destiny. Like this video, subscribe, and remember, the most dangerous man in the room is the one who needs no words to win. Number 7. The social shift, creating an aura of mystery. At first, he thought disappearing was the key. He believed that if he vanished, she would miss him and regret everything. But then he realized something more powerful: mystery. Disappearing is easy to explain. She could assume he was bitter or still hurt. But a man who is present but unreadable, that's the one who lingers in her mind. He didn't block her or seek attention. He simply became unpredictable. Where he was once an open book, now he was a puzzle. No sad posts, no indirect messages, just selective, intentional presence. A photo here, a brief story there, enough to spark curiosity but never enough to fully understand. This is the social shift. You don't disappear, you evolve. You move in silence but leave clues. A photo showing a life she's no longer part of, a story hinting at your success. No explanations, just confidence and presence. This is what eats at her. Because when a man changes, she wonders, is he seeing someone else? Has he outgrown me? She checks his social media, looking for signs, but finds none. Just a man thriving without her. The truth is, people don't obsess over what they understand. They obsess over what they can't grasp. When you become unpredictable and unreadable, you become irresistible. But the real power move, you do this not to make her regret, but because you've outgrown the need to explain yourself. Your life is yours, and she no longer has access to it, by choice. As Seneca said, we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. The more you focus on living for yourself, the more others wonder about you. Like this video, subscribe, and comment below, I am a mystery. Number 8. The silent domination, winning without words. The weak man craves validation. He shouts into the void, desperate for an echo. He posts, he flaunts, he hopes she notices. But the man forged by Stoicism, by the paths of wisdom, by discipline, he moves in silence. No words, no explanations, just action. Epictetus once said, if you wish to be in control of your soul, give up worrying about what others say about you. This is the essence of silent domination. The real power lies not in proving, but in becoming. While others waste energy seeking attention, he builds, he sharpens his mind, he strengthens his body, he multiplies his wealth, he ascends beyond reach. He does not block her. He does not delete old memories in a fit of emotion. He does not play petty games. He simply withdraws his energy, and that absence, that void, it haunts her. Not because he is gone, but because it feels like he was never there. No closure, no last words, just a clean, impenetrable silence. At first, she dismisses it. He's pretending, he's playing a game. But as time stretches, as the silence deepens, doubt creeps in. Why isn't he watching her stories? Why doesn't he care? Did she misjudge him? She expected anger, resentment, a desperate chase. But what she gets is nothing, indifference, absence. And that is where the true mind game begins. Because when someone who once gave you their heart suddenly acts as if you never existed, it forces reflection. She begins remembering the details she once overlooked, how he treated her, how he was always there, how she never truly appreciated his presence. Now he is a ghost she cannot touch, a memory that lingers but never responds. Her curiosity grows. She scrolls through his social media. She casually brings up his name. And what does she find? Not a broken man, but a man reborn. He looks better. He radiates confidence. He is not just surviving, he is thriving. And worst of all, he is not looking back. And then it hits her. While she entertained distractions, he was evolving into the man she always wanted, but can never have. Regret is a slow poison, and now it is hers to drink. This is why winning without words is the most devastating victory. It is not about making her see what she lost. It is about becoming so powerful, so unshakable, that her opinion no longer matters. Because true success doesn't need validation. It speaks through presence, through action, through undeniable results. The ultimate power move is not proving them wrong. It is making them realize they were never even a factor in your success. You were always the prize, and now she finally understands it. Comment below, "I control my mind. I control my destiny." Like this video, subscribe, and remember, the most dangerous man in the room is the one who needs no words to win. The journey ends, but yours is just beginning. This is where the journey ends, but for you, it's just the beginning. The moment you stop chasing, the moment you stop waiting, the moment you fully step into your power. Because this was never about her. It was never about making her regret. It was about becoming the kind of man who doesn't need to look back. You don't need to convince anyone of your worth. You don't need to seek validation. You are the prize. And when you truly embody that, the past loses all meaning. The regrets, the heartbreak, the overthinking, it all fades into nothing. And, in its place, a man who is untouchable, a man who controls his own destiny. If you made it this far, you're already ahead of most, because most men never reach this stage. They stay stuck in the cycle, waiting, hoping, suffering. But you've already taken the first step toward becoming something greater. Now it's time to finish what you started. Build yourself. Master your emotions. Keep moving forward. Because once you become unshakable, once you become truly free, life stops being about proving anything to anyone and starts being about living on your own terms. So, if you're ready to keep evolving, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and comment below one final time, "I control my destiny." Because from this point forward, no one else does.